let us settle into this time and place with the help of our very special musician, UU teen and singer-songwriter, Lila Ordway, who is going to share an original song with us.
This song's called Baggage Boy, and it's an original from my newly completed album called Where She Goes. Oh yeah, that helps.
Trust me, it's a fact of life. You can stay or you can go. We both know you'll be gone tomorrow. My mind, my peace of mind, but you choose the crazy side. My mind, my peace of mind, but you choose the crazy side. Wishing on the stars and counting on prayers. Oh, honey, it ain't gonna get you nowhere. Times are changing and so do you. You get nowhere when you wait to. You'll try a million times, trust me, it's never gonna be right. Just go, don't take your time, trust me, it's a fact of life. You can stay or you can go, we both know you'll be gone tomorrow. My mind, my peace of mind, but you choose the crazy side. You'll try a million times, trust me, it's never gonna be right. Just go, don't take your time, trust me, it's a fact of life. You can stay or you can go, we both choose the crazy side. My mind, my peace of mind, but you choose the crazy side.
Now we can all say we knew her when she was just getting started. As our wider community celebrates documentary film this weekend at Columbia's annual True False Film Festival, we too pause this morning to reflect on truth and falsehood, and also beyond that binary to all that is possible and maybe and perhaps. Good morning. I'm the Reverend Molly Housh Gordon, the minister of this congregation. I am a pale white woman in her very late 30s with red hair that today is pulled back in a braid down one side of my head. And I am wearing today a rather, circus tent looking blouse. It's vertical rainbow stripes in kind of pastel spring colors alongside a teal blazer. And our opening words this morning are from Jason Cook. We seekers are on a quest to discover truth and meaning. Sometimes we think we found it, wrapped up, glimmering with newness, straight off the intellectual assembly line, all the answers right there for us, and others if only they'd listen. But truth has a way of coming in disguise, sometimes wearing rags and sometimes finery, but so often cloaked from our immediate perception. And sometimes that which we have rejected, which we have let go of or decided was only for others but not us, can also be our teacher. Let our time of worship be an acknowledgement that the journey toward truth and meaning never ends, and that we can appreciate all those whom we learn from along the way. So let us join together now in singing. Our opening hymn is number 389, Gathered Here in the Mystery of the Hour. This one is around. And we're going to sing it through once together and then twice as just a two-part round. I'll split you in half right down the middle. I'll invite the west end of the sanctuary to come in first and the east end of the sanctuary to come in next, and we will enjoy what emerges. I invite you to rise or remain seated as you are most comfortable. That was so strong and gorgeous. You may be seated. And we now light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, in the cup of community and the bright flame of the human spirit. As we do, you're invited to join me as you're moved in the words of affirmation printed in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Good morning. I'm Jamila Batchelder, the Director of Religious Education here. I am a middle-aged white woman with lots of dark blonde hair and glasses, and I'm wearing a black blazer and on the theme of true and false, a black and white geometric print dress. Molly is our maybe and perhaps in her circus colors. We will now do our ritual of stones and water. Those of you with us online are invited into a time of contemplation during quiet music, and you may wish to share your joy and sorrow in the chat to be spoken aloud during our time of prayer. For those here in the sanctuary, you are invited to drop stones in water at the table, and if you'd like to share, about your joys and sorrows, sorry, let's start over, here we go. For those in the sanctuary, you are invited to come forward and drop stones in the water. Imagine the stone holding whatever it is you carry with you this day, and then imagine the water being our community and its help in holding you as you drop that stone into the water. If you have a joy or sorrow that you would like shared aloud during our time of prayer, you can write it on a slip of paper on the north side of the room at our candle table. Let us now share this time of stones and water.
Let us now prepare to share aloud the joys and sorrows of our community with a moment of centering ourselves in the spirit of care so that together we might hold these things well. I invite you to take a moment of quiet, to take a couple of deep breaths together, and to draw your attention to all of the beloved souls in the room. Will you now join me in holding the joys and sorrows of our community? If you wish to give a response to those things spoken, we have a custom of an embodied response of wiggly, happy spirit fingers for joys and a hand or two over the heart for prayers. Let us join our hearts with Stacy Pottinger, who shares joy for being in a wonderful mental health facility for receiving the care that she needs, and let us send our continued love as she continues to find healing. She's feeling out for our vibes right now from Chicago. Let us join our hearts with one among us who shares the joy and gratitude that the youth of this church share their gifts of song with such joy and love. Let us join our hearts with David Leupoldt, who shares the joy that his niece has received proper medication and rejoined family and friends. Let us join our hearts with Jody, who shares the joy that after 3.5 years, she has finally signed divorce papers, thankful for the support of family, friends, and fur babies through this long journey, looking forward to peace and positivity for the future, and happy to have granddaughter Gina joining today. Let us join our hearts, as we have ongoingly, in a prayer for the people of Gaza, for all of the suffering, the starving, the death, for a ceasefire and for a way forward to peace for all in the region that is just and that is free. And now I invite you into the continued spirit of prayer or contemplation as you are moved with the words of Lynn Cox. Spirit of life, ancestor of the stars and sun, you who embrace the vastness of space and us along with it, hold us in our worry, our exhaustion, our grief. Keep us close as we sit with our truth, whatever that may be. Lead us to rest in the quiet, to find solace and renewal in this time. You whose arms open with the spinning galaxies, help us to make room for all that is. Open our hearts to our loved ones, our neighbors, the beings with whom we share this planet. Lead us to reach out to others in compassion, turning toward one another in mercy, right relationship, and reconciliation. You who have seen the rising and setting of suns, of seasons, of civilizations, remind us all that we have learned from the history of the world and our own histories, all the truths across time. Give us the courage to face our mistakes and repair them where possible. Help us understand our interdependence, our gravitational relatedness with all of the other spinning lives around us, and lead us to treat those lives with care. In this space filled with the people who shine like stars, this space filled with the sparkle of love and care, we give thanks for this moment to be together. May our senses be open to the beauty of this day, this season, this world. Blessed be, and amen. Our hymn of response is number 123, Spirit of Life. I invite you to rise or remain seated as you are most comfortable to join in singing.
I'm going to talk to you today about truth and falsity and perception. And before we get into it, I want to say that there are so many different ways to perceive the world around us, and we're going to explore a few together today. We're going to do some that include visual perception, and we're also going to do some that involve tactile perception. And we'll make sure to do descriptions all along the way so that we can all have an opportunity to perceive together. Okay, here it goes. Philosophers and theologians from the beginning of time have pondered about whether there are clear, unambiguous truths and falsities, and about our ability to perceive them. And I think this is something we all come up against and ponder in our lives. I remember when I was in first grade, there was a turquoise crayon in our class crayon collection. And some believed its true nature was green, and that could be used to color the leaves on trees. And others of us just as clearly believed its true nature was not green, and thus could not be used for leaves. Our debates on this topic would give any philosopher a run for their money. And of course, there was a third position of the radical thinkers among us, that this was art, and anything could be whatever color one chose. As we move through life, we are all figuring out our equation of how to know truth and how much space we leave for other truths. And then an event happened almost a decade ago that made us all question what we thought we knew. So can we have an image up, please? So this image on the screen is of a dress, a mid-length cocktail dress in a base color with stripes of lace in a contrasting color, and that is about as much as I could say. Would anyone like to describe more about this dress for us? Molly has the mic.
It's blue and stripy.
What color stripy?
Blue.
Blue, is there another color on it?
Black.
Blue and black stripy. That is one perspective. Any other perceptions of what this dress looks like?
Red and white.
Red and white.
Yes.
Ah. And any others?
Turquoise and black.
Turquoise and black. Anyone else have another opinion?
Gold and white.
Gold and white.
Gold and white. Did you hear?
Yeah. And is there any others? Okay. So how many of you see blue and black? Raise your hands. And how many of you see white and gold? Raise your hands.
So that was about 3/4, 1/4, or maybe even
I say even
5/6,
more, yeah.
1/6.
And how many were in an other category? About 3 or 4 of you. So there's been a lot of research on why some of us see this clearly one way, and some of us see it so clearly another way. And here's the basic gist of it. When we are attempting to perceive the truth of things, we rarely do so under perfect conditions. We don't see in perfect light conditions. We don't hear when all else is silent. We don't have every possible fact when we're trying to understand. Things are usually sort of ambiguous. And so our brain does something called disambiguation, where it takes what it does know about the world and fills in the rest. It knows a strawberry is supposed to be red, so you'll see it as red no matter what the light conditions are. Essentially, your brain is making its best guess. But here's the thing. It doesn't tell you it's guessing. It says, here are the facts. It gives you certainty because, frankly, we really can't handle that much ambiguity in life. With this dress, though, a picture taken under sort of weird light conditions, we have very few facts to fill in the rest. We don't know what the dress is supposed to be. We have to guess what is going on with the lighting. So, those of us who do our most active visual perception in the morning, the early birds among us, our brains default to assuming this is natural lighting, and we see it as white and gold. And some of us do our most active perceiving in the evening, the night owls, and so your brains, that's not me, default to assuming artificial light, and so you see it as blue and black, which is what the dress actually is. It is blue and black. The person in the room with it when the picture was taken said it was blue and black. And our brain fills in the rest, and it doesn't tell you, it's just making its best possible guess. You see and you know. But there was one more piece of info about the research that was interesting to me. Apparently 1% of people sometimes saw it one way and sometimes another. And then there was another chunk of people that once they were told that the dress was actually blue and black, even if they had originally seen it as white and gold, would then start perceiving it as blue and black. And then there's a last group of people who actually see the colors that are in the photo, which my spouse was one of these. The colors of the actual photo, like if you did a color analysis, it's light blue and brown. So their brains aren't leaping to assumptions, they're just seeing what is actually in this photo. And as I was talking to Reverend Molly about this, we realized we were both in that 1%, that we had seen it sometimes one way and sometimes another way. I see it most often as white and gold, but sometimes then in the evening I'll switch over and see it as blue and black. And we were speculating that maybe UUs were overrepresented in that 1%. And also maybe in the group that was able to change their perceptions with more information. And maybe also in those who don't make that big leap in assumption, who just see the colors that are there. Because that's a big part of our approach to faith, a recognition of multiple truths, an openness to new truths, an interest in gathering new information. We tend to not find that threatening to have that change in our perception, but it's an act of curiosity, of thrilling exploration of this incredible world we live in. So I'm going to do a little exercise with you by putting up a few images. And I want some volunteers to raise your hand and tell me what your first quick impression of it was. Don't try to solve it right away. Just tell me what you see. So describe the photo, and then we'll see if there's another way to perceive that same photo. So let's go to our next image.
And let's remember that you're describing for people who also can't see.
Yes. So does anyone want to tell me what they see here? There's someone over here.
I see what looks like sand, and ripples of sand with animals walking on it, and they look like fat donkeys.
What color are they?
The sand looks kind of a gray, and the animals are black, sort of shadowy black.
I see, I think the animals are like yellow, like all sorts of colors, and I think it's a grassy field.
Ah. And what is the perspective in the photo? Like, but like, are you seeing the top down or a side view of them? Sort of a side view.
Yeah.
All right, so now can we switch to a close-up of this photo? What you're actually seeing here now, when you see it in more detail, is what looked like a fat donkey is actually the shadow of a zebra, and we are having a straight bird's eye view down on the zebra. So it wasn't what you saw at first, right? Let's try another one. All right, who wants to describe what they see here?
A crowd of people with streams of light, and they're all like kind of dancing around.
Dancing around, yeah. Oh, we got another person back here.
I think it's like a ground view of carpet.
Yeah, so let's go in for the next image of zoomed out. So this is actually a 70s carpet, speckled carpet. Those are the legs of a coffee table. You can see the lamp over there. All right, next image. What do you see? First impression.
I see a beach with grass along it with dinosaurs watching.
Yeah, we see a bunch of little dinosaurs walking.
I see monkeys.
Yeah, so the reality is that these are coatis, which is like a monkey. So it looks like there's a bunch of teeny tiny, what do you call those kind of dinosaurs? They were called brontosauruses when I was a kid, but I think they're apatosauruses now. Looks like tiny apatosauruses walking from left to right, but it's actually a group of coatis walking in the other direction, and that's their tails, not the neck of a dinosaur. It's more fun to think that there's a whole crowd of baby apatosaurs running around, though. Next image. What do we see here?
A bunch of trees.
A bunch of trees? Can you tell me more about these trees?
They're brown and it's morning time, it looks like.
It's brown and what? It's morning time, like the sun is coming up behind them, and they have
like fall.
And it's fall, there's no leaves on them. Yeah. Okay, another perspective.
Blood vessels in an eye.
So let's go to the next image. It's the blood vessels in an eye. So there you can see the pupil of the eye and the rim, and it's the blood vessels in an eye. All right, let's do another one. Okay, what do we see here?
I think it's an aerial view of a rural scene with lakes.
Yeah, an aerial view of a rural scene with lakes. It looks like there's maybe a speckling of trees in the snow, right?
Looks like a frozen creek.
Or a frozen creek. So what this oh, we got more.
It just looks like dirty snow.
Dirty snow. So what this actually is just a small puddle of a frozen puddle. And so that's just a rock over on the bottom right side.
Gravel along the top?
Gravel along the top, but it looks like it's a landscape when you don't know what it is. All right, let's do one more. What's here?
Do any of the children know?
Let's do Cameron over here. Here, we got one.
A bunch of CDs.
Let's see, Cameron, did you have something else to say?
A row of buses.
Cameron sees it. This is a row of buses approaching Mecca. So it's an aerial view of buses. It looks, at first glance to me, like cassette tapes, but it is actually hundreds and hundreds of buses all converging in like about a 16 lanes of traffic. I think I have a couple more. Let's see. What is this?
Anybody who hasn't gone yet?
I think it's a close-up of Jupiter.
That's a good guess, yeah.
Anyone else? I go here and then here.
Are they waves?
It looks a lot like waves. So it looks like waves crashing and cresting.
Jeff was also going to say waves. Was there one over here? No?
All right, let's see the next image. It is the inside of a geode. Isn't that one amazing? And we have one last one.
I'll go here. Here.
The moon.
It looks like the moon, yeah.
It looks like a pinhole camera shot of a body of water.
That's what it is, a picture of a lake through a telescope. And so the ripples on the lake look very planetary because there's darkness all around it. So those are some ways that we can play with our perception. Pretty fun, right? But it isn't always fun to have what we believe to be true and to be the truth challenged. Perhaps we've all had someone react to a deeply held truth of ours and respond, well, that's just your opinion. Oh, climate change, that's just your opinion. That's one theory. And so I don't think it's true that UUs are just fully like, each person has their own truth, so who are we to question it? We actually do have some very intense moral clarity about some of our truths. And so there's actually some other interesting research on moral truth. And the method that gets used to measure how we believe something is an absolute truth versus a more individual truth is by asking people whether a question is true or false for them, but then asking them, can someone else have a different answer to this question than you and still be right? So I want to try that with you. I'm going to ask you a question, and then I want you to don't answer it out loud. Just think of your answer. And then I'm going to ask you, by show of hands, if someone else can have a different answer than you and still be right. Okay, so here's our first one. Chocolate is delicious. So think of your answer. Now, raise your hand if someone else with a different answer than you can still be right. And raise your hand if they cannot be right, if they're flat out wrong if they disagree with you. So we have 100% agreement that this is something that there are multiple truths about. Okay, let's do another one. Pluto is a planet. True or false? Think about it inside of you. Can someone disagree with you and still be right? Raise your hand.
What do we think? That's about half?
Well, we'll see when we get our other thing, and I'll compare them. Can someone disagree with you? And if someone disagrees with you, are they wrong? So we have, I would say, 95% think that you can have multiple truths on this one. Okay, let's go a little more intense. God exists. Think of your answer. Can someone disagree with you and still be right? Is someone who disagrees with you on this wrong? Again, I would say close to about 95% think that there's multiple truths, and there's just a handful who think there is a single truth. Okay, let's do another one. Each person deserves respect. So don't think about whether you believe it or don't believe it. Think about your answer. Think about if somebody had a different answer than you. If someone had a different answer than you, can they still be right? And if someone has a different answer than you, they're wrong. What would you say the percentages are? I'm going to challenge you on that during the potluck. We'll have a discussion.
I was going to say it was 95-5.
Oh, I thought there was a few. I think it was more like, I would say 75-25. I think you can see them all. Yeah. All right. Racism is wrong. Think about your answer. Can someone disagree with, so racism is wrong. Think about what your answer is. Can someone disagree with you and still be right? Is someone who disagrees with you wrong? We had, I think, virtually 100%. I think I saw one dissenting vote. And last one, the earth is flat. Think about your answer. Can someone disagree with you and still be right? And can someone disagree with you, someone who disagrees with you, are they wrong? So again, we're about 99% there. I gotta talk to our dissenters later. I'm curious of their thoughts. Okay. So one of the things that I found amusing about some of the results of this research has to do with age. every generation, there's a moral panic that kids these days don't believe in absolute truth anymore, and that society is going to fall apart because kids don't believe in absolute truth, or young people don't believe in it. But what the research shows is that it has nothing to do with different generations. No matter what generation you are part of, you will be open to people having different truths from you, what we call moral relativism. You'll be more open to that when you are between the ages of 18 and 25. Always throughout history, 18 to 25, you are going to be more willing to say that there are different truths. And 8-year-olds and senior citizens, you are the least willing to believe that. You believe in moral absolutes. So you can think about how, and all of us fall somewhere, on different questions, we have different answers, so that's just a general sense. But you can think about how important it is for our development to take on different attitudes at different times in our life as we are, when you're entering into adulthood and gathering information, that you need to be open to exploration, and then you start to narrow it down. And when you're young, you need those clear guidelines until you have a little more life experience to play with the nature of truth a bit. The research also shows that there are pros and cons of both outlooks. The moral relativists out there, you all are significant, not a huge amount, but significantly more likely to break rules for your own benefit. But you're also more empathetic to other people and other perspectives. And the moral absolutists among us, you do the right thing. You follow the rules, but you can be more rigid, less open to new perspectives. And it just left me thinking of, in our quest for truth and meaning, how important it is to be in community, especially a multi-generational community. None of us can perceive all of the truth alone. Together, we each bring different gifts, different experiences, different ways of perceiving. And that, of course, is the deepest truth, that I believe us coming together each week after week, trying to make sense of this wild and beautiful world, that together we will discover more. I have one last activity for us, for an act of collective perceiving. So I have a mystery item in this box up here. And I want 3 volunteers to come up, and there are, don't leave it, I'll explain how. There's 3 holes in different parts of the box, and I'm going to direct you to where the holes are and let you reach in and describe what it is you're feeling and share that with the whole congregation. And just feel what's right in front of you. Don't reach over into the other areas. And we will see if we together can figure out this mystery item, which was given to us to use by Reverend Molly, and let me say, it's not going to be easy. This is quite the mystery. This might be as unknowable as the nature of God. we will see. So do we have 3 volunteers willing to describe what they feel? We've got Ollie. Who's back there? Is that Miranda and Annabelle? Why don't both of you come forward? Okay, start here. So, when you reach under this cloth here and put your hand in this hole, and then you come over to this side, and you could reach under and put your hand in this hole, here, and you can reach right into this hole here. Okay? All right, Ollie, what do you feel?
A pipe of some sort.
Can you tell what it's made out of?
Rubber.
Rubber? All right, so some kind of pipe. Just one pipe?
2.
2 pipes. Are they the same?
No.
No, different shapes, the little shaped pipes. All right, what do you feel? What do you feel?
I kind of feel some paper.
Paper. Okay. And what do you feel?
Some poles.
Some poles. Interesting. So we've got pipes on this side, poles on this side. You're feeling paper. I feel like I'd like to have a 4th volunteer. Amelie, can you come forward? Oh, you trade places here. Tell me what you're feeling in here.
the cloth, but I think.
You said cloth, though. That's one of the things you're feeling.
Yeah, but like it's like I definitely feel like the pull, like the.
Oh, you feel a pull, and you feel something inside the cloth. So we have over here pipes, over here cloth, and over here, what was it that you said? Poles. Any guesses what it is we are feeling, congregation? Well done! Let's reveal. Let's see if I can get it up in here. You did it! I tested this on my family. They could not get it.
I'll just note for those who are not seeing, these are tiny child-sized bagpipes. They're very cute, and they were a gift/curse from my in-laws after a trip to Scotland.
So I just want you to take a moment to think about how much we can perceive more when we are all involved and discussing and thinking together, because certainly I would not have been able to figure that out alone, just touching one part of it.
So let's take a moment to sing together about truth and love. Our next hymn is number 300 in your gray hymnal, With Heart and Mind. I invite you to rise or remain seated as you're most comfortable. True, false, all well and good. The poet Emily Dickinson writes, I dwell in possibility, a fairer house than prose, more numerous of windows, superior for doors, of chambers as the cedars, impregnable of eye, and for an everlasting roof the gambrels of the sky, of visitors the fairest, for occupation this, the spreading wide my narrow hands, to gather paradise. Now, truth matters, and so does its multiplicity in all of its shades. But I often prefer to dwell in possibility. Less compelled by fact than, what if? I wonder. I don't know. And often reminded that we need both to nurture the world we dream about. We need an honest telling that refuses the lies and flattening of empire. And we need wide open imaginations to dream something different than what we've been given. You could think of the ideas of truth and falsehood as black and white, overlapping in shades of gray. And black and white are really important to shape and contain life. Without black and white, we would not encounter anything more than a blur. But also, perhaps colorless, without the wide array of possibility. All the maybes and unknowns and perhaps that remind us so much could be, might be becoming even now. Deep in every truth and perhaps deep in every falsehood, there is also a not yet but maybe. There is something possible. And identifying the more beautiful possibilities is part of our job as people of faith. It is an essential quality of what is known as prophetic imagination, the work of naming and calling forth a more beautiful possibility into all of the death-dealing truths and falsehoods around us. The writer and activist Adrienne Murray Brown has said, "I believe that we are in an imagination battle. And almost everything about how we've been taught to orient our bodies is shaped by fearful imaginations. Imaginations that fear blackness, brownness, fatness, queerness, disability, and difference." She writes, "Our radical imagination is a tool for decolonization, for reclaiming our right to shape our lived reality." She also says, "We're recognizing that if the world we live in has a root system in imagination, that someone imagines oppression. It's not a fact that it's not something that's played out over time. Someone imagined one way of being was superior over the other." So it's imagined, and then you realize, she writes, that, oh wait, it doesn't have to be this way. It can be some other way. And she thinks we are in a moment of beginning to do that imagining. That we are in a place and a time where we can imagine differently. Where we can imagine more thriving for more of us. And to do that, we have to be willing to cast our perception deep into the maybe, into what could be but is not yet. What we actually cannot perceive yet in the here and now, but what we can see coming forth. And the thing is that we have to find the world that is possible right here in the world that already is. Like a magic eye poster where you have to awaken a different part of your brain to see what could be in a big old tangle line tumble of what appears to be. We have to find the world that is possible right here in the world that already is. And that's going to require us building the muscles to imagine together, to find more possibilities in what we're given, other uses for the things that already exist. And so I'm going to invite you into a moment of imagining together, using some mundane items as a way to train ourselves to find new possibilities. So I'm going to hold up 2 or 3 items and describe them to you. And then I'm going to invite you to imagine that you are an alien who has never encountered this item before. Or you're a science fiction writer whose job is to transform the mundane into the possible. And I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you'd like to tell us something else that this item could be and describe your imagining. So Jamila is going to take over my Vanna White responsibilities. So here I have a ever popular hair claw clip. It's kind of an iridescent red and white, and it's got a spring up at the top so that when you squeeze the top, the claw opens up and closes. And of course, it's meant to hold your hair in some lovely style. And if you'd like to raise your hand and tell us what else you could imagine is possible with this item.
You can skip school by breaking your bone with it.
Okay, we've got a wild possibility over here that we could break a bone with it and skip school.
You could clip it on your cat's tail.
Clip it on your cat's tail. So a torture device for the cat, it sounds.
I was thinking just decorative.
A robot Venus flytrap.
A robot Venus flytrap if we added some electric power to it.
Clip to hold sweet peas on a steak.
We could grow something by holding some sweet peas to a stake.
Bakers use it to pinch the edge of the apanera, the pastries. Like
A pastry crimper.
A pastry crimper. Make delicious things with it.
A clip you put in your hair.
We could do some great imaginative hairstyles with it, absolutely.
Should we go to a new
All right,
item?
let's go to a new item. This is a big blue pool noodle, usually used to add a little bit of flotation to your life when you're in the water. You could sit on it or wrap it around yourself and help you float. What else could this be when we're in the world we're creating together?
As an older sibling, to me, it's clearly a younger sibling bopper, but.
A whapper.
A whapper.
A whacker.
A whacker. So many ways we could choose violence with this pool noodle.
Insulation for a pipe. Insulation for a pipe.
Insulation for a pipe.
So we could keep our water warm.
You could make a wreath with it for a base for things.
You can use it as the
We could
base
make
for a
something
wreath.
beautiful with it.
You could strangle it with one of your siblings who you really don't like.
Another way to choose violence.
Then it can be gently used on your sibling.
Is this the world we dream about, kids?
Water cannon.
Water cannon.
Yes.
Put the hair clip on it.
A hair clip holder.
Tie up your hair in it and make a new hairstyle.
Big, wide curls you'd make with that.
It's a water transfer system to get water from a faucet into a bucket.
That sounds like a use it has had in Jeff's house.
Cut it into short pieces and make it into holding your paint brushes to dry in.
Oh, an art tool.
Something to store your knives, like you just stab it with your knife and like.
A culinary tool. We've got some over here, and then we're gonna wrap up this portion.
So I once picked up one of these and a little snake slithered out.
Oh, a habitat.
It's a perfect little house for a little tiny snake.
Okay.
Let's go one more.
If you cut it lengthwise, you can then slide it under a door to make sure that it's like airtight so you don't have like air seeping out, like heat leaving your house.
So we're making our houses more climate friendly.
So we can keep discussing these at the
Yes.
potluck. We have some other interesting objects, and I think you all have lots of ideas. So these are good conversation starters.
Yes.